There was a photo on the floor, face down. I don't know how long it had been there, or who knocked it off the shelf, but I stepped on it this morning, barefoot, right in the center, cracked the glass clean in half. I picked it up and flipped it over. It was us, at Lake Mercer. 4 summers ago. She was smiling. I was pretending to. And for some reason, I just stood there, staring at it like it could explain what the hell happened last night. You see, she left for the party at 8:42 p.m. Not because she was running late. Callista is never late. But because I asked her not to go, and she waited just long enough to make sure I knew my opinion didn't matter. She didn't slam the door. She didn't kiss my cheek. She just walked out. And now there I was, standing barefoot on cracked glass, holding a memory that hurt more than the cut on my foot. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't even check her location, even though I had it. Because I already knew. She was gone. Not late night at a party gone. Not sleeping on a friend's couch gone. I mean emotionally evacuated gone. I think she's been gone for a while. The party was just an excuse. A mask she could hide behind while the real betrayal bloomed in the dark. I sat on the couch for hours, not watching TV, not scrolling, just sitting, listening, thinking, wondering if she'd call, if she'd stumble through the door whispering apologies, if she'd smell like alcohol or someone else. She came home just after sunrise. Hair a mess, shoes in her hand. That same little smirk she gives me when she thinks I'm too weak to leave. And she was right, because I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just held up the broken photo and asked, was it worth it? She looked at me like I was the one cheating. And then she said something I'll never forget. Not because it was cruel, but because it was honest. Was it worth it? I asked again, softer this time, like maybe she'd misunderstood the question. But Callista didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She didn't even look at the cracked photo I was still holding in my hand like some tragic courtroom exhibit. She just shrugged, a real honest-to-God shrug, and said, it wasn't about you. I swear the room got colder. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but nothing came out. My throat felt like it had been stuffed with cotton and nails. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to throw that photo at the wall, but instead, I just sat back down. She walked past me like I was a chair, like I wasn't a person, like she didn't just casually admit that whatever happened last night, wherever she'd gone, whoever she was with, it had nothing to do with me. And somehow, that made it worse. If she had said it was revenge, maybe I could have processed it. If she had said she hated me, at least that would have been personal. But this was indifference. And that, I'm learning, is more violent than anger. She poured herself a glass of water like it was any other morning. She even hummed, a song I didn't recognize. She was still in the same dress, now wrinkled and stained near the hem, but her eyes, they looked rested. Meanwhile, I felt like I hadn't slept in years. I asked her again, trying not to sound pathetic, did you sleep at all? She turned to me with a smirk that tasted like glass in my throat. A little. On the way back. The way back from where? Don't do this, Gideon, she said, suddenly cold. Don't make this messier than it already is. Messier? It wasn't messy at all. It was clear. Crystal clear. Something had broken between us, and I was the only one still pretending it could be glued back together. And then, she dropped the real bomb. I'll be staying at Lindsay's place for a few days. No emotion. No apology. No room for negotiation. Lindsay, her coworker. The one I always felt uneasy about. The one who always smirked at me at office parties like she knew something I didn't. I wanted to say no. I wanted to forbid it. But instead, I just nodded like a weak, beaten man because, let's be honest, that's exactly what I was. She grabbed a tote bag from the closet. It was already packed. So she had planned this. Not just the party. Not just the absence. The whole damn thing. And I just sat there. Frozen. Silent. Still holding that broken photo. She left within 10 minutes. No goodbye. No hug. No fake concern. Just tossed her bag over her shoulder, checked her reflection once in the hall mirror, and vanished. The silence afterward was deafening. No clicks of heels. No sound of the engine starting. Just the slow hum of the refrigerator and the aching creak of the floorboards when I finally moved. I don't remember walking into the bedroom. I think my body just went there on its own, like it was searching for evidence before my mind could admit what was happening. I stared at the bed for a moment, her side still unmade, the indentation of her body still in the mattress. It was like she was both gone and not gone at the same time, like the air still remembered her better than I did. Then I noticed something odd. The drawer on her nightstand wasn't closed all the way. Now, I'm not the jealous type. No, actually scratch that. I am the jealous type, but I've never acted on it. Not until now. My fingers hovered over the drawer for a second like I needed permission. But then I opened it. At first, just the usual junk, lip balm, gum wrappers, receipts. But then I saw it, a thin, black velvet pouch. Not hers. Callista never kept jewelry in cheap pouches. She always said it made nice things look dirty. I opened it anyway. Inside was a bracelet. Delicate, gold, with tiny engraved initials I didn't recognize. J.R. I stared at it like it was about to explain itself. But it didn't. It just sat there, silent, mocking me. My stomach twisted. Callista doesn't wear bracelets. She never has. Said they made her wrists look too thin. So why did she have one? And why hide it? I should have stopped there. Should have put it back, closed the drawer, and convinced myself it meant nothing. But something inside me, the last working instinct I had left, told me this mattered more than anything she'd said to me in the last month. So I started digging. I pulled out everything. Every receipt, every piece of paper, every scrap. And that's when I found the second thing I wasn't supposed to see. A folded note. No envelope. No date. Just a torn piece of notepad paper, folded into fourths. I didn't recognize the handwriting. It said, "You didn't have to leave so early. Still think about you every morning. Let me know when he's finally out of the picture." My blood ran cold. It wasn't signed, but it didn't have to be. I sat down on the edge of the bed, that note in one hand, the bracelet in the other, and tried to breathe. Tried to tell myself it could be old, harmless, a misunderstanding, a prank. But deep down, I already knew. She didn't just leave last night. She'd been leaving for weeks. Quietly, strategically, planning it like a heist. And I was the dumb guard watching cartoons while the vault got cleaned out behind me. I didn't cry. Not then. I just whispered to no one. Who the hell is JR? I didn't sleep. Again. Not even a little. I lay in bed with the note on my chest, and the bracelet clenched so tightly in my fist that I left little crescent-shaped marks in my palm. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. But not the Callista I used to know. Not the woman who snorted when she laughed or hated pickles on her sandwiches. No, I saw a stranger. A version of her that lived in a different world, a world where I didn't exist. Or if I did, I was just background noise. Around 4:17 a.m., I got up. I walked into the living room like I was floating. Nothing felt real. The walls, the furniture, even the family photos, it all looked like a museum exhibit I wasn't allowed to touch. That's when I realized. She was erasing herself. Her shoes were gone from the rack. Her favorite coffee mug was missing. Even her ridiculous pink throw blanket, the one I always hated, was gone from the couch. She hadn't just packed a bag. She had started moving out. While I was pacing the hallway last night, praying she'd text me back, she was collecting little pieces of her life and slipping them into a suitcase. But she missed something. Her laptop. It was still there, sitting on the desk in the corner. Closed, but plugged in, screen smudged, the little glowing light breathing softly like it was asleep. Callista never left her laptop at home. She treated it like a limb. The only reason she'd forget it is if she was in a hurry, or if she didn't want me to see it. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe I was hoping to find nothing. Maybe I wanted to punish myself. But I opened it. No password. She always said locking it felt paranoid. Her browser was open, not on social media, not on email, but on a shared Google Doc. The tab name read, Exit Plan. My heart stuttered. It was a checklist. A literal checklist. Titled in bold, How to Leave Without a Mess. Private doc, do not share. The list was meticulous. Pack 3-day bag, done. Transfer savings from joint account to personal, done. Delete chat threads, Gideon, Maddie, Mom, done. Unlink backup drive, done. Leave the bracelet somewhere obvious, pending. Confrontation prep, if needed, still drafting. Leave before Sunday. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling the kind of nausea that creeps up the back of your neck before it hits your gut. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't emotional. This was methodical. She had planned to leave me like she was moving out of a bad lease. I scrolled further and found something that made my skin crawl. An embedded photo. A selfie. Her and a man I'd never seen before. He had sharp features, a beard, and wore a leather jacket that screamed midlife crisis with a motorcycle. Her head rested on his shoulder. She was smiling. She hadn't smiled like that with me in over a year. I stared at the photo for a long time. There was a timestamp in the corner, 3 weeks ago. She was wearing the same dress from the party. So it wasn't just a party. It was him. I closed the laptop gently, like it was going to explode if I moved too fast. And I sat back in the chair, cold, stunned, numb. I didn't know what hurt more, the fact that she was leaving, or the fact that she planned it so well I almost didn't notice. But I did notice. Now. And she had no idea that I knew. I didn't eat that day. I tried. Toast, maybe. I don't even remember making it. It just sat on the plate like a prop. Everything felt like a prop. I wandered through the house like I didn't belong in it anymore, like I was breaking into someone else's life. Her scent still lingered in the bathroom, and the hairdryer cord was coiled on the counter like she might be back any minute. But she wasn't coming back, at least not as my wife. And I couldn't stop thinking about the list. The detail. The lack of emotion. It wasn't just betrayal. It was surgery. She had dissected me out of her life piece by piece and made notes about how to dispose of the remains. I needed to talk to someone, but not a friend. I'd lost most of them during the slow erosion of our marriage. Not family either. My brother would just say, "Told you so." No, I needed someone who wouldn't expect the call. So I reached out to her ex. Not mine. Hers. Elliot Kane. I remembered his name because she used to spit it like poison. Back when we first started dating, she told me he was manipulative, emotionally immature, and, ironically, obsessively jealous. She swore she blocked him on everything, said he moved to Colorado and they hadn't spoken in years. But I always suspected she protested too much. I found him easily. One search, and there he was, profile public, gym selfies, car pics, the usual ego maintenance. He even followed a few of her friends. So much for being blocked. I didn't message him directly. That felt reckless. Instead, I made a burner account. No profile pic, no name, just a single message. "Hey, not sure if this is weird, but do you know someone named Callista Brooks?" He replied in 4 minutes. "Why?" I hesitated, then typed, "Just wondering if you've talked to her recently." Define recently. I stared at the screen. My hands shook as I typed. Last couple of months. She's my wife. Read. He didn't reply for 5 minutes. And then, damn, I didn't know she got married. Yeah, for years ago. We haven't talked much. A few DMs. That's it. Why? Now I was the one pausing. Because part of me knew I was about to cross a line. But I'd already stepped over so many. What was one more? Just found a bracelet. With your initials. And a note. He left me on read. For 20 minutes. Then, that bracelet wasn't for me. My stomach dropped. "JR?" I typed. "Nope, not me." She said that was her boss's name. Her boss. James Rourke. My chest tightened. I remembered him. The guy who always gave her extra hours, even when she was exhausted. The one who sent her flowers when she landed a small account. She said he was married. Said he was harmless. She lied. I thanked Elliot for his time. He didn't ask any more questions. Maybe he already knew the look of someone falling apart on the other side of a screen. I shut the laptop and stared at my reflection in the dark monitor. I didn't look sad. I looked focused. And that scared me more than anything. Because for the first time in this whole mess, I wasn't spiraling. I wasn't begging. I wasn't asking why. I was planning. And unlike Callista, I didn't need to write mine down. It's funny the things you remember when your life falls apart. I couldn't recall what I had for dinner last Tuesday, but I remembered her cat's name from when she was 15. Juniper. She used to talk about that cat like it was a soulmate. Said it followed her everywhere and once bit her ex for getting too handsy. She cried for a week when it died. She used Juniper for everything. So when I sat back down at her laptop that evening, hands shaking, heart thudding in my ears, and pulled up her cloud account, I typed it in without thinking. Juniper, 23. Access granted. I didn't know what I was looking for. Photos, maybe. Messages. Something that would put the final nail in this already splintered coffin. But what I found was worse than I expected. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was organized. She had a folder, titled, Backdoor. Inside, screenshots, receipts, a second bank login, and audio recordings. Yes, actual recordings. Labeled by date. My fingers hovered over one that read 0413_office. Wave. I clicked play. It was muffled at first. Then her voice. Laughing. Then his. Male. Low. Confident. Too familiar. James Rourke. He's still clueless? Gideon? Yeah, she said. He thinks I'm going to yoga 3 nights a week. More laughter. You ever feel bad? A pause. Then. Sometimes. But mostly, I just feel free. I paused the recording. I should have felt rage. But all I felt was confirmation. The kind that makes your stomach drop through the floor because now there's no wiggle room. No denial. No maybe. Just the raw, ugly truth in her own voice. And then I saw it. A draft email. To her lawyer. Subject, separation, timeline plus asset split. She hadn't sent it yet. But it was there. She had written, he'll be fine. He always lands on his feet. As if I were a stray dog she was leaving behind with a bowl of food and a pat on the head. I wasn't even angry anymore. Not at her. Not at James. Not at anyone. I was embarrassed. Because I'd made it easy. I'd been the quiet husband. The accommodating one. The stay out of her way and don't make noise husband. And now I was being discarded with the same strategic grace she used to plan birthday parties. I closed the laptop. I didn't break it. I didn't scream. I just stood up, walked to the window, and stared outside for what felt like an hour. I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. But I knew one thing. She wanted to leave clean. And I wasn't going to let her. Not anymore. The guest room was the coldest place in the house. Not temperature-wise, something else. It had this stale, unlived-in feel. No pictures on the walls, no books, no scent. Just beige. Beige carpet, beige curtains, beige energy. We never had guests. She always said it was just in case. I used to think she meant family. But now, standing in the doorway with her laptop in my hand, I wondered if she meant escape. I sat on the bed, the one we never used, and opened a new folder on her drive. For him. And into that folder, I copied everything. The audio, the screenshots, the draft email, even the receipt from the hotel she booked under a fake name last Thursday. I didn't edit anything. I didn't dramatize or twist. I just collected. And then I logged into my own email and wrote a message. To him. Subject, you should know what you're leaving your wife for. Hi James. I thought I'd help you see the whole picture. You seem like a detail-oriented guy. Attached is everything Callista didn't want either of us to know about the other. Don't worry, I'm not threatening you. I'm just letting you into the loop. She planned both of us out like steps in a PowerPoint. Good luck. I hit send. No dramatic music. No shaking hands. No tears. Just silence. A clean, surgical click. And then I deleted all the files from her laptop. Emptied the trash. Scrubbed the drive. Replaced the folder names with old tax files so nothing would look missing. Closed the lid. You see, I didn't want revenge. Not the kind you see in movies, anyway. I didn't want to expose her publicly or burn her clothes or smash plates. That's her world. Theatrical, cold, calculated. I just wanted the truth to spread. Quietly. Directly. Without a trace of me left in it. I went downstairs, made coffee like it was any other morning, and sat at the kitchen table with the same silence that greeted me 2 nights ago. Except this time, it was different. Because now, I had shifted the story. I had introduced a variable she didn't control. And when you build your life like a chessboard, even one pawn out of place can bring the whole thing crashing down. At 11:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring. Then it rang again. Voicemail. I played it on speaker. Gideon. It's Callista. I need to talk to you. Can we please just talk? Call me when you can. Her voice cracked on the last word. I didn't smile. I didn't even blink. I just poured another cup of coffee and stared at the empty chair across from me. She had no idea what part of the game she was in anymore. She called again the next morning. This time, she didn't leave a voicemail. Maybe she thought I was still angry. Maybe she thought I'd shout or beg or collapse like I used to. But I didn't. I just let the phone ring, face down on the table, while I buttered my toast and watched the sun move across the wall like nothing had changed. Because something had changed me. I wasn't numb anymore. I wasn't broken. I wasn't stuck in the endless spiral of why did she do this or what did I do wrong. I'd seen the truth. Lived inside it for long enough to stop trying to make it pretty. The betrayal was real. The pain was real. But so was the clarity. Around noon, I got a text. You're being cruel now. I stared at those 4 words for a long time. It was funny, really. After everything, the planning, the lying, the gaslighting, I was the cruel one for not picking up the phone. But I didn't respond. Instead, I grabbed a backpack, stuffed it with a couple shirts, a notebook, and my passport. I didn't know where I was going yet, just that it wouldn't be here. I needed distance. Air. A place where the floor didn't remember her footsteps, where the walls didn't whisper at night. By 3 p.m., I was in the car, headed east with no music, just the sound of wind and tires and the quiet rush of finally doing something for myself. I stopped at a small town I'd never heard of, checked into a cheap roadside inn with floral curtains and a key that actually turned. The guy at the front desk smiled and said, "What brings you here?" I paused, then said, "Starting over." He nodded like he'd heard it before. That night, I walked to a nearby diner, ate a slice of warm peach pie, read a local paper someone had left behind. For the first time in months, maybe years, my chest didn't feel tight. No drama, no second-guessing, no pretending, just air in my lungs and peace in my bones. The next morning, I turned off my phone, not out of spite, out of kindness, for myself. I wasn't going to live in the wreckage anymore. I wasn't going to replay every conversation or try to outmaneuver someone who treated love like a strategy. I had no more games left in me, but I had space. I had time. And for the first time in forever, I had myself back. And that was enough.